right. Let's see here. Yeah, we are live. So welcome to Supercharged Sunday, everyone, with me, Emily Mchugh, and my special guest, Mrs. Yvonne A. Jones, who is the relationship expert. And so we're in for a treat today with the great insights that Yvonne has for us. So welcome, Yvonne, to
Thank you,
Supercharged
Emily.
Sunday. Yes,
Thank,
thank you.
thank you so much. Thanks for having me here. I am excited. I've been watching your shows for quite a few weeks, so I am happy to be on this side of the table today.
Excellent. Well, I know that you have so much to offer and so much experience and great insights that our viewers will absolutely benefit from the rich knowledge you have to share. And thank you for being such a great supporter of the Supercharged Sunday community and Supercharged with Emily Facebook group. I want to welcome everyone and thank you for being here. And our goal is to share tips and insights and expertise that will allow you to have that extra energy for your business and your life, with insights that will move you forward and propel you forward, give you that extra fuel, if you will, that supercharge to maximize your opportunities. So today, Yvonne, she has a rich background and a diverse history of experience in the field of client relationships, customer service building, and so on. So Yvonne, would you share about with us where you're from originally? How did you get into the field? And a little of your background in this area.
Sure, Emily, I'm happy to do that. So I'm from the beautiful island of Jamaica, and I migrated to this country about 30 years ago. So I am an adopted Floridian. But to step back a little bit about my love and my passion for this whole area you talked about, starting with customer service and going on to customer experience, customer relationship, client relationship. It all started a long time ago. I actually fell in love with customer service at the grand old age of 16. You see, Emily, 6 weeks after graduating from high school in Jamaica, I was employed by the largest commercial bank at the time in the foreign exchange department. And about 3 months after, about 10 or 12 of us were sent on an external customer service training. Now, let me tell you about myself at that time. I was very reserved. Now we say introverted, right? And so my job as a clerk typist was there to do the clerical part of the clerical work, but I also had to go to the counter when people came in, if none of the people who are assigned were there to talk to people. And for me, I was very content just working at my desk. And I kind of viewed people as an interruption to my day until I went to that training. When I got back to work, I realized that training transformed me as a person because I no longer focused on how I felt. I focused on making people feel welcome into the department because this was a huge bank, large columns, and people would come in, they came into the foreign exchange department to buy money orders, drafts to send to Canada, United States, England. And they would look so intimidated by these large columns because that wasn't their regular bank. And I realized this, I went up to the counter and I said, good morning or good afternoon, whatever, with a smile and genuinely welcoming them. How may I help you? It was as if they stood taller. A lot of that uncertainty fell off their shoulders. And so in making them feel good, I transformed myself because I no longer focused on me. I focused on welcoming the person and what the difference that it made. I saw the difference it made. So for me, when I say I fell in love with customer service at 16, that's the truth. And that served me well so that at 18, I was promoted to manager secretary in one of the other branches. And that carried through to my next job in Jamaica, where I worked for 16 years with another international company, and then coming right here in the United States. So that's where all of that passion has come from. What I recognized though over the years is that while customer service is the foundation, now as clients have changed, they are more tech savvy, they have more information at their fingertips. In fact, the power has now been transferred from the seller to the buyer, or to the seller to the client or customer. And so what is even more important now, Emily, is the experience that we create for our clients or customers. That is what's going to allow us to keep those clients and customers loyal, because customer retention is extremely important in business.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful background and overview, Yvonne. And to see what impacts me, what you're saying, well, many things, but when you started off by saying it shifted from being what was important to you to what was important to someone else.
Mhm.
And that really is a mindset shift that sometimes the sooner, obviously, we're able to make that, the better. But that seemed to have changed your whole perspective and your outlook going
Absolutely,
forward.
it did.
Yes. So when you, with the experience with the bank, and also when you said that people stood up taller and they had a different posture, if you will, just by how they're being addressed. So they feel respected and they have a sense of self-importance, that they're now being treated as though they are important because they are, and being valued. And that is reflected in how they then see themselves. I think
You're
that's
so
extremely
right. You
powerful.
mentioned three terms there that are so very important. You know, Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Incorporated, the cosmetics company, she taught her consultants that they should imagine that every woman wore an invisible sign around her neck that said, "Make me feel important." And that's really the mindset we should have. You mentioned three words that are so very relevant. You mentioned value. Customers need to feel that they're valued. You mentioned making them feel important. And that's important. We have to let our customers feel important because they have a lot of options. And if we don't make them feel special, if we don't make them feel authentically that they're important to us, then they will leave us and go do business with someone else. And now I can't remember what the third one was that you said, but they're all three very important. And in that vein, Emily, this brings to mind something that Peter Shankman said in his book, Customer Service, New Rules for a Social Media World. He said that your goal is to sell, but you want to do it in such a way that you make your customers feel like rock stars from the second they find you and for the rest of their lives. So those two key points. You want to make your customers feel like rock stars. They're important. They're the most important part of your business. And I use the term customers, whether you have students, whether you have patients, whether you call them clients, depending on your niche, but they're your customers in any case. And then he also says, the second part of what he says is from the second they find you. So whether they're finding you on social media, whether they're finding you through your website, wherever people find us, we want to make them feel that it was a good thing. We want to make them feel like they're rock stars. So what does that, what comes to mind with that, Emily, for you? When you think of from the second someone finds you, what comes to mind?
Well, finds me as the business that they want to do business with, or finds me as the customer? Which one?
No, find you as a business owner.
As a business owner. Okay. So if someone is coming to you, that means that there's something that's attracting them, and how it makes me feel is already immediately valued because they took the time to reach out. So they could be, it's really also understanding what stage they are in their exploration. Have they already made a decision for what they want, or are they still exploring, comparing you to someone else, or what they're trying to do? But either which way, they're considering you. And I think one of the best things you could do is treat them as a customer immediately, regardless
Exactly.
of where they are.
That is a good philosophy. That's exactly what Peter Shankman is saying. Make them feel like rock stars. They haven't become our customers yet, but we want to treat them that way. So our branding, this is where our branding comes in, because our branding is not something separate and apart from us. Our personal branding, not our business branding. Our personal branding is who we are. Jeff Bezos says that your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So it's in other words, it's the perception that others have of you. And so this is evident on social media today. There was a time, Emily, I'm sure you'll agree with that. There was a time that only celebrities had their names and their life, on in places where those things are visible to everyone. Now, social media does that for us. And therefore, it's important that what we do, we are conscious of what we do on social media, because that's the Times page, as it were. That's the visibility we now have. So we want to use those places that when our prospects find us there, they are going to be learning who we are. And in turn, our interactions with them can make or break our business. Will they want to continue to learn more about us? Will we be able to take them from the big playing field, which is social media? It's kind of like you have a park and there's a big basketball field in the park. And that's where, on a Sunday evening, a lot of people hang out and they go play basketball or they have picnic. Now you have a basketball hoop at your home, or you may have a tennis court or whatever it is. You want to bring people from that one in the park, that big one that everybody goes to. You want to bring them over to your home. And so it's how you transition them. And they will make a decision if they really want to go from that big playing field over to your private playing field, whether it's your website or have a conversation with you. And all of that depends on what they interpret your brand to be and what it means in the big places like social media and how you show up in those places. So it's all connected because you want to take them where you can build that relationship with them. At the same time, that relationship actually starts in those public places like on social media.
Yeah, and that's really excellent because it's all those touch points. So wherever it is, that's pretty much what you're saying. And also the idea, going back to what you were saying before as well, that if your customer, they may not be a customer today, but one day they could be. And that's why when you have that sense, have you ever been into a store and you're looking at something and maybe they greeted you when you were coming in, but because you didn't buy anything, they didn't greet you going out the door? We've experienced that, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've also experienced one where two people are having a conversation in the store. The two people who actually work there, they're having a conversation, and you walk in and they don't look at you. They totally ignore you. They continue their conversation, and you walk around and you look. And when you're getting to the door, you decide that this is not for you. You're getting to the door, they look up and they say, "May I help you?" At that point, I don't want to be helped. So it's two extremes.
Yes, that's true. That's a good another way to put it as well. So that's really excellent. So Yvonne, you put together some 5 ways to nurture, and I'm sure you probably touched on some of them maybe already, but we're going to kind of put it in the numerical context. 5 ways to nurture your client relationships. And I think the emphasis is on the word nurture because things take time to develop and grow. And I would just caveat this by saying, when you mentioned about social media, I think people also have the false notion that just because you make instant friends on Facebook, that doesn't mean you still don't cultivate and nurture the relationship. You can easily add a friend, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't go further and engage and interact to see how you two can connect more meaningfully. So that would be a very interesting perspective to gain from you in terms of that.
Absolutely, Emily. because the building of the relationship really, it takes time. Like you just said, you don't just add somebody to your Facebook, or you connect with them on LinkedIn, or you follow them on Twitter or wherever it is, and they become instantly your friend. You have to build that relationship. And the building of the relationship and using relationship marketing really starts with how you treat people on social media and winning them over to become new clients. And then, of course, once you have them as a client, the relationship building continues. It has to continue. You talked about before making people feel valued. So not because there has been an exchange of money, you think it stops there, because the truth about it is, Emily, many times we think that our clients need us, but it would be better to have the attitude that we need our clients. Yes, they need us to show them the path, show them the way. Because if we have a certain expertise, which we should because we're in business, and we have already had a conversation with our prospect and we find out what their needs are, and then we are in turn able to offer to them a solution to the problems that they have, and they become our client, then of course we are going to want to continue to build that relationship, because now we just don't want them to be a one-time client, as in a transactional relationship. We want to convert them into developing that relationship so that they become loyal advocates or raving fans, however we want to term them, but we want them to be loyal. So with that in mind, keeping in mind how relationship marketing is so very critical, building those client relationships, we want to avoid doing anything that will damage the relationship that we have with our clients. One of the first things or point number one is going to be a simple two-word thing, two-word action, which is saying thank you. It's so very simple, yet it's often ignored. We want to say thank you. When we say thank you to our clients, they recognize that we appreciate them. We value them not just as a dollar sign, but as someone who is important to us. And we want to be generous with thanks. And let's think about some ways that we can do that. Number one, it can be just a simple thank you for your business. Thank you for your continued support of my business. Thank you for allowing me to continue to help you. If you're a coach, for example, or a mentor, you want to thank people. If you're a business person, if it's even on your receipts, the receipts that people get, it's a simple thank you for your business. But I like to extend that further, that with my clients, I will periodically send a thank you card. For absolutely no reason. It's not a birthday, it's not an anniversary, just a thank you for allowing me to continue to support you. Or thank you for being a client who takes action. Thank you for the progress, for someone who takes action and make progress. We want to celebrate with our clients when they make progress, when they do something great, they may publish a book. And when I say celebrate this, I do want to add a caution. I see people do this all the time, but I don't try to judge anyone, Emily. I don't know whether they have got permission. But one thing I would say, before you go out there and start publishing things and say, my client did this and that, make sure you get permission, because not everyone wants other people to know that they're working with a coach, or whatever terminology you refer to yourself as. You don't have to be a coach. You could be a strategist or what, a consultant, whatever. Make sure you get your client's permission to do that. You can publish things without mentioning the relationship, but you want to be generous with your praise. And even when you have coaching sessions, again, speaking from the perspective of a coach, when you have coaching sessions, you can simply say, I truly appreciate you. And here's why. So you don't just say you appreciate, you are very specific. You tell them why. For example, you always take action, and I'm so proud of the progress that you're making. So that's number one, saying thank you, and at the same time, be generous with your praise. So that really should be 2 points. But then the second thing is, yes, so number 2 is, yeah, I really will cross the line. Number 2 is celebrate when they make progress. Number 3, Emily, is, any questions on that before I go to number 3?
Well, I love the idea when you say about the being generous with the thanks, and that really, that idea of generosity. So just to kind of flesh that out a bit more, is it generous in terms of how often you say it, or how profusely you say it, or by giving a gift that shows generosity? Like define a little bit more generosity.
Okay, great question, because I do have a gift a little further down. So
Okay.
this is being generous. This whole matter of being generosity. One is saying thank you. Thank you that they continue to work with you. Thank you, being generous with your praise, really being sincere and letting people know that you notice the progress they're making. You know, whether you're a coach, whether you, whatever you are, if it's you're teaching someone a foreign language and you're working with different people, there are going to be people who make more progress than others. And it doesn't necessarily mean the others are not doing the work, but somehow you may have 1 or 2 clients that they really excel and they're moving and they're growing. Let them know that you notice. Let them know that you care. Congratulate them for reaching the milestones that they have. Every time they reach a milestone, congratulate them on that. Because not everybody is doing the same thing. So you wanted them to know that you notice and you appreciate it and you're very specific. You're not going to go overboard, but you're very specific about why. Then it may be at the end of a particular coaching session, you could say that, you know, I'm so impressed with the way you handle this, that, or that. I'm so impressed with the way you have. And I have a client, for example, that she sets goals and she has been able to reach them. It's not easy because she's very busy. So, you know, you will single out that person and really congratulate them and let them know why. But you also thank them for being that kind of person, the action taker, because it helps you to recognize as a coach that you are doing something right. Because sometimes we can feel that, am I reaching my client? Because they may not be taking action, and the lack of action could be due to different things.
Yes,
but when
yes,
you see that
excellent.
you're giving the same training to someone else or a group and they're taking action, you know you're doing it right, and you can find out what part of it helps the most so you can do more of that with the others.
Right.
Does that
So
make
it's
sense?
absolutely. So it's a double benefit for them and for yourself also, as far as feedback. And
Exactly.
that's very excellent points. Okay. So that's point number 2. Celebrate the number 1 is that express thanks, and number 2 is celebrate the progress. So what's the
Actually,
next one?
my
Yes.
notes here, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused with my notes. My notes here, celebrate was a part of number 1. So number 2 is to be
Oh,
authentic and build the emotional connection.
okay, very good. All right. Because I'm taking notes as you go, Yvonne. So just so you know, I'm listening and typing at the same time. So say that again. So number 2 is what again? Say it again, please.
Be authentic and build the emotional connection.
Okay, very good.
You know, there was a time when many of us had the attitude that, you know, I really don't need to be friends with my clients. I'm just helping them. Research indicates even for large organizations, they are now coming to recognize that it is important to build that emotional connection with your customers. It's harder for larger organizations to do that, but it's not impossible. When you read customer service stories like that of the Ritz-Carlton, Zappos, Walt Disney, those are huge conglomerates, and yet they have managed to build that connection, that emotional connection with their customers. They manage to transcend the bridges and the blocks that could stop other companies. When you read the Ritz-Carlton stories of how much they allocate for per guest, that you can do, their employees can do certain things in their judgment based on the company's parameters, that they can do things and do extra things for guests at their hotels. You have
And
JetBlue. JetBlue, for example, is another one. And what is that other? Yeah, there's another airline that has a pretty good reputation. But imagine, what is it?
Southwest.
Yes, Southwest. Now imagine those huge conglomerates are encouraged and they actually do it, where they build that emotional connection with their customers. Imagine how much easier it can be for us as small business owners, solopreneurs, to build that emotional connection with our clients and customers, because the truth is that until we have built that emotional connection, Emily, we do not have a loyal customer. You know, in times past, certain services were limited. There weren't so many companies, and we would stay with certain companies for years and years and years. We were loyal to our phone company. We were loyal to our cable company because there weren't too many options. And so we stayed loyal. But now with all the options, and we're not happy if they have these wonderful offers and they tell you, I'm sorry, but that's for our new customers and you have been supporting them for years. What do? You're just, okay, they're not loyal to me, so I switched to the other one, right? We have an opportunity to build that relationship, that emotional connection where our customers become so loyal to us that even when someone has the same item at a lower price, a lower investment, they will not switch, because they know that how you make them feel is so important to them. You make them feel valued. The word you mentioned earlier that I forgot was feedback. You ask them for feedback on how they can improve, so they know that you value them. And so that emotional connection is built, and that's what we want. We want to have that. We want to create that environment with our customers so they don't just get up and leave us.
Yes, yes. So with that being said too, options, that's a key word. And that's something to always remember when it comes to customers. They have options. And when you mentioned the example of the airlines, I know many airlines will say, well, we know you have many choices in flights, airlines you could have chosen to fly today. We're thankful, we're happy, or we appreciate that you fly with us. I remember that specifically on JetBlue. JetBlue will say that, and I'm sure Southwest says the same thing, but they acknowledge the fact that you do have options.
Absolutely.
And right away, that shows a lot of things from the point of view of the client. Number one, you're being paid attention to. You are definitely being acknowledged. Your opinion counts. And that's what we basically want. We want to be recognized, acknowledged, and know that you're listening to what I'm saying to you. So those what we would say are relatively simple things are the most important things people want. And that's how you've expressed that. You put it really nicely. And another point you mentioned earlier, when you talk about people like Ritz-Carlton and they have that budget where they allow the employees to kind of make their own decisions use their own judgment. It helps to avoid micromanaging. Instead of having to run to the boss every 5 seconds to say, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good idea? You are given some latitude to make a common sense decision on your own. And that saves time for the other managers to go and do other things and grow the business. So it has so many things. So what you're saying has such a deep resonance in so many areas of the business. It goes beyond just being nice. It's a business strategy and good old common sense, right?
Absolutely. And that is a whole different ball game about the internal customer experience. That's the employee. because
Mm-hmm.
that is so critical. As you talk about micromanaging, a lot of times people get negative customer service, and it starts at the top because the frontline people have not been empowered to make any decisions on their own. Every single thing, they cannot do anything. They haven't been given any latitude within certain boundaries
Right,
to
right.
operate. And so there, when they say I can't make any decision, we on the other end of the line don't want to hear that. But that is unfortunately what some managers and companies do. They don't give them any latitudes. They're not able to do anything without going back through the whole micromanage process, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I just want to mention this statistic here, Emily, because I
Yes.
think it's so very important.
Yes.
And I did mention it earlier, but we're talking about customer retention because that's the whole goal of building this strong relationship, is to retain our customers. And when you consider, the statistics say that when you increase customer retention by 5%, you can increase profits from 25 to 95%.
Hmm.
And that's because when someone is already a customer, then they are much more likely to buy more and more of your services or your products. And I'll give you a real practical example of that. Just yesterday, I spoke with what is she? I think she's a multiple six-figure coach. Okay. She has been on Inc. 500. And she shared with me yesterday that it takes between $500 and $1,000 to acquire a new client. But you know what that lifetime value is? The lifetime value of that one client is 14,000 in her business. So would you say it makes sense to nurture the relationship with that one client?
I would think so. I would think so.
I would say so too, because if it takes you 500 to 1,000, yes, you do have to spend that, and you're probably spending, say it's 1,000, if you're spending 1,000 to acquire one client, and say imagine you're trying to get 20, so you're spending a lot, but then look at the other side of the coin. Just being able to retain one for the lifetime value is $14,000. So when you have numbers like that, they actually supersede the ones that have been used for a long time, that it takes 5 times as much to acquire customers than to retain them. So for those statistics, as far as the more recent updates show, that it varies. It varies according to your industry, but the bottom line is it's going to cost you a lot more to acquire a new customer if you do not build the relationship to retain them, so that they buy from you again and again and again. Because if, say, it were costing you $1,000 to acquire a customer, and all they ever spent was $1,000 and they left you, then you would not have made any money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I like the whole idea of the focusing on the long-term value, and that's the key, the really cornerstone of this, and pretty much reinforcing the point that it's not transactional, it's about relational for the long haul. And
That's
sometimes,
exactly.
you may not make what you think is enough money in the initial stages, or you feel, oh, this isn't worth it, but then is it worth it long term? And that is the question sometimes we forget to ask ourselves, that, and think too short term, and that's a big error in this field of customer service building.
Yep, it is. And we have to get out of it's advisable. Nobody ever has to do anything, but it's advisable to get out of the transactional thinking, because the transactional thinking is a one-time sale.
Yes. Yes.
But you want to transform that into a relationship, so that the person remains I don't like funnels, but they remain in your funnel if you're going to use that terminology. So they become a lead or a prospect, and the prospect becomes a client slash customer. Then that customer becomes an advocate and a raving fan.
So
Because
why
when
don't you, no, go ahead, please.
they're an advocate for you, they are going to tell others about you. And just the same way you go to a restaurant, a particular restaurant, and you love the food, you raved over it to your friends, say you've got to try it. So even without that restaurant doing the advertising, you're doing the advertising for the restaurant because you have now become an advocate. And when friends say or family say, what do you want to eat tonight? It's like, oh, let's go down to that place. The food is so good. That's how we want our clients to speak about us so that they become our advocates, where it also reduces our costs, our marketing costs, because now they are bringing people to us rather than our going out and finding people.
So Yvonne, could you highlight a little bit more? How do we go about building those emotional connections with the clients?
That's a good question. And everything that we talk about today so far and that we're going to do, that is helping to build that we have to know what they need. Before you can exceed expectations, you have to know what those expectations are. And once you have been able to exceed those, you know what those expectations are, you meet those expectations, you exceed those expectations, you're willing to go the extra mile. You're endearing yourself to your clients and your customers. And then when you're willing to find out what else can you do to make their lives easier, to make them happy, because happy clients and customers will stay with you. What you're invested in them and they know it because you are willing to go that extra mile, and that is building that emotional connection.
That's wonderful. I've been clicking away copiously as you taking copious notes rather as you speak, Yvonne. So just so that you know, I'm hanging on every word that you say. No, very excellent advice. Absolutely. Excellent. So are you ready for point number 3?
Yes. And point number 3 is keeping tabs on them without, I will add, without being intrusive.
Okay.
So there's a difference between showing concern and being intrusive. And let me just explain what I mean about that. For example, a lot of times we see things on social media, right? People are not doing well. Your client is not doing well. She may not tell you, but you see something on social media, or maybe her, or maybe a family member who is going through a challenge, or you may notice that her post might be a little bit negative. Could you reach out to her simply through Messenger or picking up the phone for a short phone call and simply ask, is everything okay? You leave the way open so that she or he can share whatever they feel to. Simple. You're not waiting for when the next time you have a coaching session, you gotta find out. This is in between. You notice something, you see something is said, or it could be a family member, who there is in the hospital or something. You get a card and you send a card to your client to say, I'm so sorry to see that your father or your mother, whatever it is in the hospital, or they're not doing well or something like that. But you use what's available to you. Keep your eyes open and be observant, be discerning. Now, for those people who celebrate birthdays, then you look out for you when it's your client's birthday. You may choose to send them a birthday card. I like to send for people who are married, I like to send anniversary cards. Or you may see something they publish about their child, when something on the soccer team or something like that. With COVID now, those are not so popular, but some places they're going back out. But you look for opportunities that are little ways to show that They're important to you. They're not just somebody you sit with, you're a coach you meet with every week or every 2 weeks, but you really genuinely care. So you're keeping tabs on the little details. And I can tell you this, Emily, just a little example. While I was in corporate America, I started a skincare consultancy. And my clients, I recorded it whenever they first did business with me, I recorded that date. If they were married, I recorded their anniversary. And they were always amazed when they got an anniversary card from me. They would come, how did you know it's my anniversary? They forgot that I wrote it down. I asked them when the first time they did business with me.
Mm-hmm.
Or, it could be, hey, this is our anniversary. You did business, whatever it is that you want to say, or you send them a little gift, doing a little extra, doing just that little bit extra makes so much difference. And the big plus, as simple as the card is, you can find $1 cards, you can find $2 cards. You don't have to spend $4, $5 for a card. Beautiful cards. And as simple as a card is, it means a lot to because most people only get bills in the mail or junk in the mail. So when they get a handwritten card from you, that tells them that you care. So they will see you as someone who's genuinely interested in them, and they see you as a friend. The caution is you don't want to overstep the coach-client boundary so that you now become intrusive. So at all time, it's like an elegant dance where you're showing interest, but you're not crossing the line, where now they consider you to be intrusive or be a busybody.
I was just going to ask you, what are some examples of that? But I think it's kind of obvious, but sometimes we shouldn't say certain things are obvious because it may not necessarily be. But what would be an example of crossing that boundary or crossing that line or be perceived as intrusive?
Well, asking them what's wrong with your mother, or if this person's in the hospital, what's wrong with you? I think.
Yeah. Right. Getting more personal than need to. Fair enough.
Yes, I always find it very curious when people, having been to the hospital a few times myself in my lifetime, I'm always curious is that it's not a close friend, but the first question they ask her, why are you in the hospital? It's like, okay, I may choose not to tell you.
Right.
But especially in a client, this is a business relationship, but you're part of it as a business owner, is that you're showing you care, but you're not showing you care by crossing that line and being intrusive.
You know what, Yvonne, I can't help but reflect as you say that can boil down to as well to some cultural norms. People from certain cultures find that they feel they can take more liberties and they think it's normal. Whereas people from other countries, so coming from Jamaica, you're from Jamaica, my family's from Jamaica, we're more reserved culture in that regard. We're more mindful of the types of questions we ask people. We don't ask nosy questions. Whereas in this country, in America, a lot of people ask a lot of nosy questions. And I have found, that was one of the first things that struck me when I moved to America, was how nosy people could be. So, I mean, somebody might be offended by this, I hope not, but it's true. So, yeah, that's what
I hear you, and I totally get it, because it's usually where I get those kind of questions from.
Yeah.
Yes, we from Jamaica, we kind of have like, the British upbringing that there's some questions you just don't ask. You wait until you're told. So we are always kind of taken back when other people just, without any qualms at all, they will just ask the question.
Yeah, like for example, and for those who don't understand what this means, let me make it clear. Like asking people their age, asking them how much money they make, which I think people kind of understand that, but the age one, and other things that, as you say, wait until you are told if someone wants you to know. And I think that's very important for people to understand and to realize as well that there are cultural tones to this, depending on where you're coming from, how you're raised, and your background.
Absolutely. And the other side of the coin too, Emily, is that if we're in business and we're going to be international business owners. In other words, we're going to have clients from other cultures. Then
Yes.
it makes sense that we take some time to learn what is acceptable in certain cultures, because we may, just by overstepping our bounds or boundaries, that we could actually turn off a potential customer. So it makes sense that we may not be going to international visits like what people, say you're in a you're the CEO or you're something like that, for a large organization. But nonetheless, if you have, for example, a coaching business or your service is one that is international, then it makes sense to take a little time to find out what's considered acceptable. What are the acceptable norms in that situation, in that culture?
That is absolutely critical. And that's something that I've worked with some of my small business owners when I do my international trade consulting is I always have a whole segment on when doing their like marketing plans, a total segment on the culture and those norms, because what we might think is acceptable here is not acceptable there. And I'll give one quick example. When I used to do business in Asia and preparing for my first trip over there on how to do business in China and so on, the first thread was about the business card. That it's very important how you give your business card, that it has to be given with both hands facing the person. So it's not supposed to be upside down. It needs to be clean and pristine, no stains or marks or anything on it. Mm-hmm. And it must be given to the person. And if you're the one receiving it, you receive it with both hands, look at it, read the card, and actually acknowledge their title and their name. So it shows that you have received it. And if you want to make a note, never just start writing on it. You write on the back and you get their permission, because it's considered an insult to write on their business card. So these little things go a long way. So it definitely speaks to what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. All right, Yvonne, what are the rest of our wonderful tips here?
Okay, so we're at number 4, right?
Yes.
Number 4 is giving a gift. Show you care by giving a gift. And again, a gift does not have to be expensive. A gift can simply be like a $5 Starbucks card. If you know the person likes coffee and they're always talking about, oh, I can't think I haven't had my coffee yet, and little things like that. So you're listening. Listening is considered an art. So a lot of times we have to listen to what is not said, but we use that. We have make a mental note of it. And when we get an opportunity, we put it on our clients' information as well. That's something we write. It can be a simple, like I said, $5 or $10 Starbucks card. It can be a journal. I had a situation, I have some journals, which, sadly, I haven't sent them out. I only sent out one. And I went into Michael's and I saw these cute little journals, because I was teaching a program and journaling was part of the program. And these cute little journals that had these amazing prompts, I bought all they had. They had them on sale and I bought all they had. Sadly, I've only sent out one, but looking for opportunities like that. We talked about the handwritten card already. It can be a picture frame. It can be a book that will help them, will help the person. I have a mentor, and every month she has a thing where when you contribute to the discussion, she will do some little raffle or the other, and she sends out a book, right, to whoever, I guess, wins the raffle. She knows her crowd. She sends the book. But I got one of those books, and I cherish it so much. It can be a simple picture frame. So sending something that's physical makes a huge difference. Again, we talked about the ill health. The ill health, or maybe a family member. It can be a plant. You might not live if you're living in the same area, you can buy the plant and drop it off. A simple plant that's not going to take a lot of care. And you wrap that up in pretty paper and you drop it off. It might be something you might have to reach out to a florist or someone in the area where your client lives and send something, but do something. Again, I'm going to step back for a minute and share something that is so simple and made such a difference when I did my skincare business. And remember, that was my part-time business. Whenever I mailed something, I mailed packages, and I got the post office box, I didn't just put them in there. I lined that box with tissue paper, and I put the products. And on top of that, I would go in the dollar store and they would have these cute little teddy bears. They cost me $1. But I would put one of those little teddy bear, or a little animal, maybe a little puppy or something. I would put that on top, right, of the products, and I wrapped it over with the tissue paper. I would always get a call. Now, these are grown women. They didn't need a little teddy bear. But when they saw that, first thing, they're going to smile. And then that little teddy bear, or whatever little animal, stuffed animal that was, that told them that I cared and they were special to me because I made sure that that particular item was there. So this is why I say sometimes when you talk about gifts, people are visualizing, oh, I have to buy a $25 gift. No, it can be a simple gift. If you're a realtor, find out something that you may, in the whole process, you may have heard your client say they like. It doesn't have to be humongous, it doesn't have to be costly, but it's something that's meaningful and personalized. And you send it with a personal note. That is so very important. There are holidays for people who celebrate holidays, then send something that's not humongous, but something within your budget. Because when you build that relationship, it may cost you now, you put it on your income tax as a cost of doing business, but that little expense that you may have right now can build so much goodwill between you and your client that while you're not doing it with an expectation of a return, it can present so much benefit to you that it will be worth whatever you spent on it many times over.
Beautiful. That's wonderful, wonderful advice, Yvonne. Absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, this is really great. This is a part of your, I mean, when we use the terms like marketing strategy or what have you, it makes it sound impersonal, but it's just the words we're using, but it is about the relationship. So if we looked at marketing as relationship building, we'd have a very different approach maybe towards it.
It is, and it's funny you should say that, Emily, because for a long time I called myself relationship marketing strategist. But I've changed it to just client relationship specialist because it's about the relationship. It's not the marketing, is the awareness, but it's the relationship that you actually build that's going to cause your clients to stay with you.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. I'm trying to see if I'll peek on Facebook here a moment. Yvonne, I love the idea of giving a gift. Pauline says, yes, thank you. She endorses that too, Nosy, true. Okay, yes, thanks, Pauline and Angel. Yep, yeah, wonderful. Those are great insights.
And shall I move to number 5?
Yes, now at number 5, yes.
Okay. Number 5 is make your clients, your customers feel valued.
Okay.
And one of the easiest ways to do this, regardless of whether you're a coach or in any kind of business whatsoever, whether it's a product or a service, is to ask your clients for their input. Keep the questions open-ended so your clients feel free to express themselves, so it's not a no or a yes. It could be research on, for example, you make your company make these beautiful bags. So one of the questions could be to your customers, your customers is finding out from them, okay, so this is for my computer case. Is there any way we could make this better? Is there anything missing that we could add to it? And somebody could easily say, oh, well, maybe if you had a little place here for business cards or something like that. We never know, because you know what the thing is, Emily, is that we are always so close to our business that we don't see all of it.
That's right.
ridiculous. But when we have somebody who is on the outside and the actual user is even more important because they can tell us what we're missing. And that's just an example because I don't know if your bag already has everything.
You know, but that's a great example. Very good. Yes. Mm-hmm. It
Okay,
is.
so you listen to what your clients are telling you, listen to them. And when if you analyze it, of course, it doesn't mean that everything they tell you you're going to go with, but you analyze it. And then if you implement it or you see where it's going to make, it may even simply be a program. Like I had a program, a 4-week program that I launched in January to February. It was Become the CEO of Your Business with Courage and Confidence. I'm running this again in a couple of weeks. And so I'm asking the participants who were in that course, what would have made this better for you? What would have made this a better experience for you? So that I can add those things for the next set of people who are going to be taking that class, because we always want to be improving and making things better. And when we do listen and implement, we want to let our clients know, let our customers know, thank you. I'm glad you shared that with me, because now, so more people are liking what I'm doing, or this thing is making it so much better. It's making it easier for us, for whatever it is. You just want to let them know that you acknowledge and let them know that you implemented it. The other thing you want to do is when you ask them about their goals. As a coach, yes, you're going to do that, but you can ask them, even if you're not a coach, you can talk with them. What do you go? What do you really want to achieve with X, Y, Z? And then you can guide them using the SMART goal setting, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. You want to do that. It's just some simple ways. Sometimes, Emily, we think that it's the big things that are going to make the difference to people. And sometimes we'll be amazed. It's just simple little things that make a huge difference, because that simple thing tells our clients, and even when they're prospects, they haven't become our clients yet, or our customers yet, it tells them that, I want to work with her. She really cares about me.
Yes.
And isn't that what we want?
That is so beautifully put, Yvonne. And please tell us some more about, yes, that is exactly what we want, for sure. Because we're, as going kind of back to what you were saying initially too, it's laying the groundwork wherever there is contact with an actual client or potential client. You are building the relationship at that very moment, and how it just continues from phase to phase. So would you like to, I would love for you to share more about your programs. Yvonne, how can people find you? How can they connect with you? What's the name of your Facebook group? And what is the name of that program you're launching? And do you have the dates as yet? And how people can connect with you on your program?
Okay, thank you for asking, Emily. My Facebook group, which I have 2 Facebook groups for clients, but the one that is open is for women who are 50 and wiser. And the actual name of that is 50 and Wiser Community. That's the number 50 and Wiser Community. So it's facebook.com/groups/50 and Wiser Community. I would love to have anyone who would like to join, as long as you're 50 and older. I like to say wiser. I'd love for you to come over and hang out with us. It's a very interactive group. My upcoming program, I have 2. My website is https, and I should be finding it while I'm talking with you. It's https 50, the number 50, and wisercoaching.com. And I am ashamed to say that this is a very long, I have a shortened URL, and I'm ashamed to say I do not remember it right now. But
it's okay. You can drop it in the links. That's fine. Drop it in the links, and then.
But I will put it in the link. But my upcoming program starts on the 13th of April. The actual URL which as I mentioned, I have a shortener for it. It's 50andwisercoaching.com/double. And there's a dash between all these words. Double your results in 90 days or less. There's a dash between each, and I do have a link shortener, but it's double your results in 90 days or less. That starts on the 13th of April. And I've made it very affordable because I want it to be something that can help as many people as possible. And it's helping them to build their courage and confidence and to be the CEO of their business. And of course, Emily, in true form, I would not be true to myself and to my clients, my students, if I did not have a whole module about building your business with clients you love and who love you. So there's a whole module on that.
Oh, wonderful. So they can just take the next level, because it's easier to build an emotional bond with people you actually care about as opposed to trying to force something, right?
Right. Or to be working with people you don't really love, but because you need clients, then you work with them. But it's so much fun to work with people that you love and they love you. And I am truly blessed because I have a group of people I work with every Monday in my International Profit Circle. I love every one of them. And I'm happy to see that their attendance shows that they love me too.
Oh, lovely. That is beautiful. Well, Yvonne, you've shared so many tips. Do you want to just recap the summary of the 5 ways to nurture your client relationships as we wrap up our talk today?
Absolutely, Emily. The first one is to give clients generous praise. Don't be stingy with your praise. Then be authentic and build emotional connections with your clients, because if you do not have an emotional connection with your clients, you do not have loyal clients. You want people who are emotionally connected with you so that they will remain with you even if someone else tries to lure them away. The third point is keep an eye or keep tabs on the details. Be aware of what's going on in your client's life without being intrusive. Number 4 is to be willing to give a gift when the opportunity arises. And it doesn't have to be an expensive gift, but a gift that shows that you care about the person you're thinking of them. And number 5 is make your clients feel valued. The goal of our business should be to build client relationships so that our prospects become our clients or customers, and then our clients and customers become our raving fans and loyal advocates.
Excellent. Well, that's very encouraging, Yvonne, and I really thank you so much for sharing these very poignant insights, meaningful points for us to internalize. And the next thing I would invite people to do is, I always encourage people to go back, listen to these discussions again, these Supercharged Sunday videos again, because when you hear it another time, you're going to pick up something that you may not have gotten the first time. And each time you listen, you'll gain more and more. And that's something that I've done repeatedly with all my different guests. And I encourage people to go back and watch earlier Supercharged Sundays as well, missed any episodes, and just keep up with us as we continue to come on here. But I thank you, Yvonne, for continuing the tradition of stellar advice, timely insights that we can all use and apply for the benefit of our businesses and our daily activities and beyond.
Thank you for having me, Emily. And I am going to be posting a link to something that's for free. It's a checklist that I've created, and I'd like to give it to your audience. So I will put the link to it when the recording is posted.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for that, Yvonne. We'll look forward to that and to check it out, and encourage everyone to check out Yvonne's group and her 50 and Wiser group and her website and her upcoming program that are all, I've already dropped a link to your website in the comments, but look forward to anything else you want to add. And also invite those of you who are not members of Supercharged with Emily to join my Facebook group as we discuss strategic issues on your business, also tips and insights, and share from the superchargers such as Yvonne, who contribute to the dialogue of what is important that we need to be supercharging and what we need to be mindful of as we build up our activities. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's watching and faithful followers who come and watch and support us. We really appreciate it. Please do share this video, like, comment, and share. Okay, that's the plan. Like, comment, and share so more people can see it. And look forward to seeing you next time. We won't be having Supercharge next Sunday since it is Easter Sunday for those who are celebrating it, and since it's a big spring break holiday time, but we'll be back the week after. So stay tuned for upcoming Supercharge Sundays. So, and oh, one more thing. Yeah, check tomorrow, my masterclass Mondays, which I've been doing on every day but Monday, but hopefully it will happen tomorrow. That's the plan. So stay tuned for that as well. So thank you, Yvonne, and thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful rest of your afternoon or day. And
Thank
stay
you, Emily.
supercharged. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.